Welcome back to the MCU review here on Nerd In.
Yeah.
Thanks for checking in. So, today we're going to be talking about, God bless,
Captain Marvel.
Okay, look, I'll be straight. This is my least favorite movie in the franchise.
Understandable.
But I'm going to give you the synopsis anyway.
Yeah.
As best I can. It's going to have some satirical elements. I'm going to try to review it as fairly as and unbiasedly as I can, but it's going to fail miserably, and I apologize for it in advance. Okay, so we start the movie off with a bad dream. She's having a nightmare. She wakes up from the nightmare in a kind of cold sweat.
Yeah.
And then she goes and wakes up this dude, and they fight. And I'm like, is this like a buddy cop movie? I'm confused.
It does look like that.
So then he beats her up and makes fun of her for being too emotional.
When she's shown no emotion so far.
Like, I've seen rocks emote more.
If she was a spice, she'd be flour.
Irrelevant. So then they go and meet the Great Intelligence. And the Great Intelligence turns into somebody from your subconscious, but she has no idea who it is. Then the Great Intelligence mocks her for also being too emotional. Again,
Yeah.
I haven't seen any emotion. There's been zero emoting.
The most emotional is her looking at him with an angry face. Not saying or doing anything, just
And
looking.
It's like a disgruntled angry face, like a, you took my ice cream bar.
When the fuck did we get ice cream?
Yeah.
Not like a, you just decked me in the face. Was this what actually happened?
Yeah.
So then they go to this planet to capture a Kree?
Scroll.
A Skrull, thank you. Sorry, mixing them up.
Yeah.
She's part of the Kree.
Yes.
Anyway, so she goes to capture this Skrull or talk to this Kree about getting information on this Skrull. The Kree that she was supposed to be talking to is the Skrull, and she gets captured. I don't understand how, but she did.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense in the context of everything, but it happened. He hit her with a pipe. Right? It was a pipe?
Something like that.
It was like a pipe or a,
Yeah.
I don't know, PCP pipe, whatever.
It was like a metal pipe or a rock.
So she gets captured. She's hung upside down, literally by her feet, not a joke. And they're flashing through memories that are in her head. She thinks they're implanting them, but it's not, because apparently she has amnesia.
Yeah. That's a great plot point in every movie is amnesia.
Because I have amnesia.
Look, I will talk about this at the end, and when we get to the story, because there's ways they could have fixed it. So much of it.
Yeah.
And it's little changes that wouldn't have mattered at all. And
We'll talk about it later. Let's continue the synopsis.
So we get to see this girl's name, this doctor lady that the Great Intelligence, whatever, Intelligence Central plot point talked about. The MacGuffin, whatever the MacGuffin talked
Yeah.
about. And this isn't even the MacGuffin of the movie.
No.
So go through all this. She breaks out. She blows up a bunch of things, punches out some scrolls, and then flies in space to Earth.
Yeah, Earth.
I gotta have a little bit of fun with this. So she crashes into the most 90s thing ever, a blockbuster. God, that was so lazy.
It
was
was.
clever. I
No,
liked it.
it made
I
perfect
liked it
sense.
for like the selling point, but like, ugh.
It made sense for it to be. They're trying to show it's a '90s movie. Look, blockbuster. You could have also had her then walk out, punch a thing that had newspapers in it, and read a newspaper that had the year on it.
Yeah, anything. Whatever, it doesn't matter. So then the mall cop is freaking out because this lady literally just blew a hole in the ceiling of a blockbuster.
Yeah.
And the agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show up. Movie starts to pick up a little bit. We get
Yeah.
to meet young Phil Coulson as well as young and two-eyed Nick Fury.
I don't remember asking you a goddamn thing.
Nicholas Fury.
Amazing character.
Yeah, both were great. So Coulson, commonly referred to as Rook, is doing an investigation. Somebody turns into Coulson. They go on a car chase.
Yeah.
Literally, there's like 3 car chases in this movie, I think.
Yeah, a scroll turns into Coulson, then Fury finds out and
Gets
crashes
in a car
the
wreck on purpose.
Yeah.
Then goes and sees Alexander. I can't remember his last name.
Yeah. They dissect that scroll.
Yeah.
they make a joke that was actually pretty funny at the time.
Yeah.
It was pretty funny.
They look underneath the thing, and then Alexander says goodbye to him, so we're like, oh, he's a Skrull, great. So we get foreshadowed for that.
Yep.
Then they go and they try to find information on her background. They get a little bit of information. They finally find something.
Oh yeah, she also keeps hijacking phones, land phones, so that way she can contact the Kree.
She blows up a jukebox in a bar.
She does.
It's wild.
It's yeah.
The movie at this point kind of takes a roller coaster. Like it's all over the place.
It has high and low points in this moment, but these are the highest moments that this movie gets to.
And then after all this, they go and meet her old best friend, who's like, "Oh my god, I haven't seen you in so long. They used to make fun of us because we were emotional. We still haven't seen her emote. Who does she think she is? Kristen Stewart? Can I make that joke?
Oh, they also find out about the hyperspeed engine.
Yes. Hyperspeed engine. So Skrull come in, and then we find out the Skrulls aren't actually the bad guys. They're just trying to hide.
Yeah.
And the Kree are the bad guys.
Oh my god!
You mean the emotionless beings are actually emotionless beings?
Then we get the Skrulls building their plane into a spaceship.
Yep, and then they fly into a space station that has a bunch of more Skrull. Then Captain Marvel decides
and the Tesseract.
which is in a lunchbox.
Yeah, they put it in a
Fonzie's lunchbox.
Yeah. Somehow it fell through a plane, but then they can put it in a lunchbox.
Aluminum is the most powerful metal on Earth.
Voices bothering you, man? I've been there. You need one of these doodangs.
Obviously.
Prove me wrong.
Yeah. Anyway.
Or it's the Fonz. The Fonz is is keeping it in place.
Yeah,
and then Captain Marvel decides I'm no longer going to be part of the Grand Central Intelligence Unit on my neck. She goes through a flashback scene of a bunch of things that I don't even know why they're there.
We saw all of them one time, never saw them again. Then all of a sudden they decide, let's spend 2 minutes on her as a child falling down and then standing up.
Not a joke. It's like 2 minutes of just watching some little girl falling down.
Yeah, like
I'm all for women empowerment. I really am.
Do that throughout the movie.
Give me. We'll talk about it
later.
It's later. We'll get there. We're gonna get there. Then she blows up.
Then she becomes the most powerful being in the universe.
Blows up a ship. One Punch is the Central Intelligence, and sends her mentor back to space empty-handed.
And scares away what's his name? That's in the Guardians movie. Ronan.
Oh yeah.
She scares away Ronan by blowing up one of his other ships.
And just kind of like stands there like,
you gonna do anything now?
Come at me, bro. Yeah. Still not emoting. And then we go back to Earth, and then she flies away to deal with the Kree problems and to protect the Skrull.
And the cat that is actually there's a cat that's an alien that eats the Tesseract. Also claws out Fury's eye, and that's how we find out how Fury lost an eye.
Yes. Goose, best character.
Yes.
That cat is an amazing character. It's not even a joke. I'm not even hyping that.
No.
Look, we're gonna just dive into the story. We're gonna start breaking this movie down because if I give any more of a synopsis, I think I'm gonna go kill myself. It's a joke!
Goose does poop out the Tesseract.
Does he poop it or vomit it? I thought it was like a
he
hairball.
vomits it out. Yeah.
It's like a hairball.
That's right.
Yeah.
He does vomit it out. Yeah. Anyway.
Story time.
All right, on to the story. Yes, I know, Patrick. Let's get into this.
I know, I'm listening.
So for individual story, I'm gonna rank it as a 3 out of 10. Basically, I hate amnesia stories. There are so many things like just give her memory back earlier, let her actually act as a character, and show her showing emotions throughout the movie. Every time like she activates her power, show her having to actually have an emotion to do it. Instead of just saying that she has to stop showing emotions so that way she stops doing it, it would make way more sense. And as we said, with the children standing up to bullies, I guess, is what it was supposed to be about.
I thought one of them was her dad.
I think one of them was her dad, but I don't know.
So, there are so many ways they could have flipped this trope and fixed the problem. So the first thing is when she gets hit in the head with the PCP pipe, which we talked about. That could have triggered like the thing on her neck coming loose a little bit, and her amnesia slowly going away. Mm-hmm. That's a really good start. and she starts to get early childhood memories.
Yeah.
And she sees, like, she remembers vividly these things of, like, her falling or her getting hurt or her doing stuff, and you can kind of see her, like, dusting herself off on the ground, but you don't see her standing up yet. And it makes those scenes actually matter later.
Yeah.
When she gets into the car wreck in the go-kart, not a joke, actually happens. When the dad comes over yelling at her, change the line from, you let him do it. No. We don't overdo that. Don't oversell what you're trying to use this message that you're trying to get across. Sell the message. Let the message be, I thought I could handle it. I'll do better next time. Something like that.
Yeah.
Where you're not saying, well, one is the other, and it's the same as the other because no two people are the same. Instead, it's I'm going to do this. I'm going to get better. Support me. It's pushing that narrative in a positive and constructive light in a way that really helps. And you can show these scenes of her struggling throughout her life, constantly being knocked down. But we don't see her get up until the end where, like she's in a sleeping thing. Like, she goes to sleep before they fly off in the spaceship created by this Skrull, where she, like, wakes up in a cold sweat, and you, like, get the flashbacks completed.
Yeah.
You see those scenes again, but this time you see her, after she dusts herself off, she gets up. After the car wreck, after she says that line, she gets up, and she, like, stretches her back out, and she's like, puts her helmet under her arm and, like, grabs the car like she's pulling it away. Like, all these little things they could have done to constantly show that she gets back up, because we've seen her get back up multiple times.
Yeah.
But now it's showing her doing it. But because of how they portrayed it, it was just lazy, pathetic writing, and it's a 3 out of 10.
And it was pandering.
I hate pandering movies. It's why Star Wars Episode 9 is my least favorite of the main Star Wars movies. It is the same reason why I think this individual story is a train wreck, and Captain Marvel as an individual story gets a 3 out of 10.
Now, how it affects the MCU, this is very objective for us too, is also, it's a 7 out of 10. Sets up the Tesseract, sets up S.H.I.E.L.D., sets up the Avengers program.
Gives history on Fury,
Yeah.
gives history on how we got, on Coulson, it gives history on, so much. There's so much history that goes into this.
In the future, in future movies, we see that the Skrulls are on Earth and do stuff. We see why the Skrulls are there. Like,
Yeah.
it sets up a ton of things. I wish it would have just done that better in the individual movie overall.
The little tropes just, as a movie that sets up the rest of the universe or helps filling gaps for the rest of the universe, 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
I agree, 100%. But, like we said, individual movie,
3 out of 10.
it's really bad.
All right, we're gonna move on to the main characters now.
Main characters. Veers, also known as Captain Marvel, also known as Carol Danvers, also known as Emotionless Bitch. Look. I have a lot to say about this character. Captain Marvel is one of the laziest, not laziest written. I don't think that Captain Marvel being my least favorite main character in all of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I do not think that it is strictly Brie Larson's fault. I think she has some of the blame, but I think the majority of it goes to this movie and this script.
Yeah.
This script was so bad for her, for the main character. 90% of what she says, I do not care. It has no plot relevancy. Absolutely none. And it's so bad. It is so poorly written and it's so poorly emoted that, like, I just don't feel anything for the character. If she lost the fight against the Skrull, the Kree, whoever, that's how little I care about this movie. If she had lost, I wouldn't have even noticed. Like, it wouldn't have even been on my radar. And it's a terrible character. And this isn't because she's a woman or a female superhero. I don't care about that. That doesn't.
No.
One of my favorite characters in all of it is Wanda.
Witch.
Scarlet Witch is amazing. Black Widow is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Captain Marvel is boring.
Yeah.
As a character, I can't stand her. Every time she's on scene, I wish she was literally anyone else.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Yeah.
like literally anyone else.
Yeah.
Please put Red Skull there. And Red Skull's boring as crap.
He is.
Like, oh, I can't do it. So I gave her a 1 out of 10, and that's me being generous.
I gave her a 2 out of 10. This is actually me being generous because I at least appreciated her interactions with Fury. I'm just gonna leave it there because I think Patrick said about everything else about how I felt about this character. Yeah, her interactions with Fury were interesting.
So, talking about Fury, segues are a thing. Fury, 8 out of 10. And you know what? Part of the reason why I'm giving him an 8 out of 10 is because he carried her through, like, moments. When Fury's on scene, Captain Marvel actually says relevant things and is important to the plot.
Yeah.
But outside of that, outside of her breaking free, she's, like, useless.
Yeah.
And Fury actually makes her matter in the story and in the plot, like in making the plot move forward. Fury drives more of the plot than the flagship character of the movie.
Yeah.
Fury's great. Samuel L. Jackson, you are an actor.
Yeah. I also gave him an 8 out of 10, not just for everything Patrick said. Also, I give him an 8 out of 10 because I would have given him a 10 out of 10, but he wasn't the main character of the movie. He would get a 10 out of 10 if he was the main character and Captain Marvel was a side character in his movie. Like actively, that would be amazing. I would have loved the movie if it was that way. If this was Nick Fury, the creation of S.H.I.E.L.D. movie, that would be amazing. Instead, it is Captain Marvel, but focus on Fury, not Captain Marvel.
Okay, so what you just said really discredits our next point. The final main character is Goose. This cat actually is the protagonist of this movie, and you can't tell me I'm wrong. Takes the Tesseract. Gives moments to let you know who's a threat and who's not in the battlefield because it knows who is and who isn't a problem.
And
Discards problems, kills a bunch of Kree. This cat is incredible. I know it's not actually a cat, but that cat is an amazing character.
Yeah.
It is used so well. I had to give Goose a 10 out of 10 because if this movie had been about Goose, I would have loved this movie.
Yeah. If it was about literally any other character except for maybe the Kree as the main characters of this movie, I think this movie would have been perfect because Goose is a perfect 10 out of 10. I
love Goose.
They could not have made Goose any better. Like the setup of everyone just being like, "It's just a cat. What are you so scared of?" And then him
the Skrull are like, "No, that's not a cat. Get that out of here."
Well, no, even the Kree were like that. They put a muzzle on him.
Yeah.
And then as soon as the first time we see him actually open up into Cthulhu on his face. It made the movie excellent.
Goose stole every scene it was in. It always made me smile, and Fury's interactions with Goose were incredible.
Yeah,
I love Goose. Let's move on to villains.
Yeah.
We've had enough fun talking about Goose.
All right, time for villains. So the main villain of the movie, the Kree, the emotionless scumbags that do nothing throughout the entire movie, and the only time they try to do anything, they try to provoke her into showing emotion when they keep telling her not to show emotion.
Does he look like a bitch?
And then he immediately gets defeated. They get a 3 out of 10. They just aren't fun. So throughout the entire movie, they
are
not
a 2
fun.
out of 10 for me.
They don't show any emotion. They do nothing throughout the entire movie beyond complain about Captain Marvel. Literally, everyone that she interacts with complains about her that's part of the Kree, but then have to act like they like her. And you can't say, "I like you, but I'm going to complain about you" throughout the entire movie.
You know how this movie could have been better? There's one thing they could have done to fix it. The final villain, she fights Ronan, and it's to a standstill.
Fights Ronan in hand-to-hand combat, and she wins and tells him to leave, or she fights him.
It's a draw, and he leaves.
Yeah,
she leaves because he's like, "I can't match her. I can only match her. I can't beat her," and leaves. That makes it a better ending and sets up for Guardians and makes the movie matter. It doesn't fix Captain Marvel as a character, but it fixes the Kree as the villain and makes it so it's Ronan, which is fine. Ronan being a villain in 2 movies is a good thing because Ronan's actually pretty interesting.
Yeah. With the Kree as the main villains, she kept losing to them. Then she decided, "I'm not going to lose anymore," and she didn't.
Yeah, that was really it. It was just I'm gonna make you watch a 2-minute montage of things that just don't matter, just for women empowerment for no reason here, and then I'm gonna show you more women empowerment by just deciding I'm never losing again.
Yeah, and guess what happens? She doesn't lose. She gets hit multiple times, and she just goes, "Oh, you hit me," and that's it. "Oh, you have a giant rocket coming down at me that no one should be able to turn around?" Whoop.
Yeah, it's just.
All right, next. The Skrull, 7 out of 10. I love the Skrull. I think the Skrull were excellent for exactly what they needed to be. The problem is that
they were portrayed as the villains for the entire movie.
they're the villains, but they're really just normal people. But they're very fun to know once you've like figured that out throughout halfway through the movie. You're like, oh, they're interesting. Yeah, this is interesting. I just wish we got to see more of them, but they were trapped on a spaceship. We can't really see more of them. It makes sense. I wish we got to see more of them. That's about it. 7 out of 10.
They're not bad. I agree with that. 7 out of 10. I put the Kree as 2 out of 10 in case that was missed, but 7 out of 10 for the Skrull. They're good characters. I like that it was a swerve, but it was kind of foreshadowed.
Yeah. I wish that this was the first time we saw the Skrull and not in because we saw them in. Didn't we see them before? Mm-mm. Oh no, they show up in Far From Home.
Yeah.
After. That's right. Forgot about that. But yeah, no. If they were in more of the movie, would probably been a little bit more interesting. But yeah, don't really have anything negative real to say about them. So let's move on to the side characters though.
Yeah, please. Oh, side character. We get some good stuff.
Yeah.
Let's start with Coulson. I rank Coulson as a 6 out of 10. Here's my reasoning for that. Coulson wasn't in enough of it, but every time he was there, it actually showed the true characterization and why Fury trusted him as highly as he did.
Yeah.
Coulson is Fury's right-hand man, and there's a reason for it. Coulson has given him absolutely 0 reasons to not trust him, and has given him every reason possible to trust him.
Yeah. I ranked him as a 7 out of 10 for all those reasons, and I just like Coulson, and it gave me a little bit of a reason why I should care about him in the first Avengers. I wish that this movie had come out before the first Avenger, because in the first Avengers, I didn't know why I should care about Coulson. He was just there, died, and then everyone cared. Yes, he was in like Iron Man and a few other movies.
He was in Iron Man 2, and Thor.
Yeah, he was in those movies, but he was very, very minor roles. This one, he's still a minor role, but it shows a little bit more for him, and I wish that this also had come out before then, so that way we get to see that.
Yeah. Next up is going to be Rambo, which is her best. It's Carol's best friend.
Yeah.
Captain Marvel's best friend. She's a great character.
Yeah.
You actually get the feeling of like she actually lost her best friend and she didn't know she was alive still.
Yeah.
She acts like she is one of the best moms in the entire MCU. She's a 6 out of 10 for a couple of reasons. One, she's literally there as a plot device. Like there's no other way to put it.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Like she's a great character, but she is strictly just a plot device.
Yeah.
It's to make Carol emote.
Yeah.
That didn't work.
I also ranked her as a 6 out of 10 for the same reason. If she was there and she knew where, like, if they had flipped when Captain Marvel went to the airport to find all those documents, if she had just said, hey, I heard they found a black box that's
What's in the box?
at this place, and then she went over there to find it, that would have been way more interesting. Because then she wouldn't just be there to be a plot device. She could have then helped them break in because they knew who she was. She could have helped them figure out how to use the black box instead of her just having it.
For reasons.
Yeah.
Lastly is Talos, which is the Skrull leader.
Yeah, the Skrull that we see for the most often.
He's such a chill dude.
He is, and he's so much fun. He
doesn't ever say that he is innocent of what he's done. He constantly says, we're at war and I've done awful things.
One of my favorite.
He's straight up honest.
One of my favorite scenes with him is when they get to the ship and they're trying to leave on the hyperdrive. He tells his wife, cover our kid's eyes because I don't want her seeing that I have to kill these people. It shows that he's not only not a clean person, but a good person, but also a good father.
And he's compassionate. He understands that children don't need to see this kind of this level of violence.
Yeah, children shouldn't be shown war. They are just forced to live in it, and he doesn't want to force her to live in it.
He's doing everything he can to get her out of it.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, that was one of the best scene. That was the best scene in my opinion in the whole movie.
Yeah,
that scene was beautifully shot and was. You could see the fear in the girl's eyes because she looked anyway. And you could see the pain in his face doing it, knowing she could very well see it. Like, all of that whole scene for all 3 of the actors, plus all the all the extras that were a part of it, was a beautifully shot, portrayed, edited. It was just a beautiful scene.
It's entirely shown. None of it was said. He never said to do it. He just looked at her, nodded his head, and she did it.
Yeah,
they both understood exactly what needed to happen, and that was perfect. Nothing needed to be said. They both understood war is bad, and I have to do this.
And this scene, this one scene tells me, is the exact reason why Captain Marvel as a character falling flat is not entirely Brie Larson's fault.
Yeah.
She takes a little bit of the blame because she is the actress portraying the character, but it is not entirely her fault because they do know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And they still gave her crap to work with.
They did, and
she can polish a turd all day, and she probably polished it as well as she can because Brie Larson is a good actress.
They probably,
I can't say she's not.
Yeah.
But they gave her a literal pile of turds, and she polished the turd as best as you could polish a turd.
They probably told her she wasn't allowed to emote throughout the entire movie, and that is a horrible thing to do to someone.
What a terrible critique.
Anyway, 9 out of 10.
Talos is incredible. Such a good character.
Again, literal only problem, not in the movie enough.
No.
Like,
If you give him 5 more scenes,
yeah.
Show
him, because I believe he's the one that becomes Nick Fury in Far From Home.
Yes.
If they had shown him like staying on Earth to do that, perfect.
Yeah, to help out Fury.
Yeah, perfect.
So yeah, I guess it's time to move on to cinematography and choreography.
All right, on to cinematography. So the camera work in this movie, as much as we don't like it, it is really, really good. The camera work is probably one of the best ones.
It's very well shot.
And I think it's entirely because it's a way later movie. It came out right after Infinity War. Like, it is really well done. I give it a 7 out of 10. People are where they need to be. I just wish that, like, it's shown more that... One thing I wish they had done is more often they showed, like, the Kree being slightly higher than Captain Marvel till the end. Because that's how it feels throughout most of the movie, is that they all feel higher than her, more powerful than her, until the end. Mm-hmm. When then she, like, flies higher than everyone, instead of always being even. That would be one of my biggest critiques about the camera work.
I put the camera work as an 8 out of 10. I think there were some mild things they could have probably made better. Like the planet where they went to go meet the Skrull.
The
Kree, there was a Skrull that ended up hitting her with a pipe. Yeah, that whole planet. If they had done that in night vision, like we're seeing it through their goggles, that would have been a really cool and interesting scene.
Yeah.
But instead it's very dark, it's kind of muggy, it kind of looks like it's...
it has, like, purple fog or something like that,
it's very
it's
dark.
hard to see.
It
makes sense why it's hard to see, but just because it makes sense doesn't mean it's good.
Yeah. But outside of that one planet, pretty much everything else was really well shot.
Yeah.
I kind of liked it showing that she feels like she's below the Kree, and then like slowly watching it just tilt.
Yeah.
I kind of like that. I like those kinds of scenes. It was too much of it.
I didn't think they did it enough.
Or they didn't.
I don't remember any scene where it like actually showed she like at an angle where she was.
Yeah. It was always shot weird. Like some of the scenes with the Kree were shot weird, but outside of that, the camera work was excellent.
Now the choreography, I don't have any faults with it. I can't give it any faults. Everything that she does, except for the very final battle, was perfect in hand-to-hand combat. Like, every hand-to-hand combat felt like it actually mattered.
It was clever. It was unique movement.
It was clean.
And to top it all off, and I'm gonna give her the props that she deserves. Brie Larson did all of her own stunts in this movie. That is an incredible thing. She was not allowed to do it for Endgame for budget reasons.
Yeah.
But for this movie, she did all of her own stunts. She did all her own choreography. She did all the fight scenes. She did all of her own work. That is an incredible thing, an incredible accomplishment. The amount of work she had to put in to learn the movements and the choreography that would be required of a fight scene at these levels.
Yeah.
And she did it flawlessly. I saw no misstep. Every step was important. Every movement, every shoulder tuck, everything was mattered. She did an amazing job. The choreography was perfect. 10 out of 10.
This movie has the best choreography in any individual Marvel movie, I think.
It's up there. I think there's one other one that competes with choreography.
Yeah, that can compete with it, but it's going to be hard to beat it.
It's one of the best choreographed movies. Not just Marvel movie. It's one of the best choreographed movies I've ever watched.
All right. Now, and we'll move on to overall enjoyment.
So our final thoughts, our overall enjoyment. Look, when your main character sucks,
it's hard to...
It drags everything down. And as good as Goose and Fury and Talos are, and as good as the choreography and the camera work are, and as important as the movie can be to the MCU, overall, the main character, which takes up 80% minimum of the screen time, drags down my enjoyment every time. Yeah. and it put it as a 3 out of 10 for me.
For me, it's a 4 out of 10. The only reason it's slightly higher, in all honesty, Patrick and I watched this one together also. We paused it about halfway through. We thought we were 3/4 of the way through. We found out we were only halfway through.
Not even. It was a little under half.
Yeah, and the main thing I like the only reason it's slightly higher for me, we ragged on it.
We had fun ragging on it.
It's a fun movie to rag on more than a couple other ones, in my opinion, where even if I watch it with someone, I'm still going to not like them, regardless of who I'm watching it with. This one, I can at least have fun because the side characters are fun, and we can rag on the main character. The other ones, the main character is fine, and the side characters are not great, but there's not much to rag on. It's just not a good movie. And so that's why mine's a little bit higher, but it's still not great. It's 4 out of 10.
Yeah, there were so many things they could have done to fix this movie, and
it missed all of them.
It missed the mark more often than it hit it.
Yeah.
The places where they hit it, it just wasn't.
It wasn't
impactful enough.
It wasn't the main character.
drags
It wasn't the main villain either.
Yeah.
The main character and villain, which make up most of what a movie needs to have, weren't there, and that's a problem.
Yeah.
But let's clear our mouths of this and move on to the next movie.
The next one for next week is the illustrious, the flagship, the first in the franchise, Iron Man.
Well, until we get to that, see you guys.
Checking out.